Good morning, friends. I'm Janine, and this is Quest for You, episode 315. Coming out a little late to you today. So much going on. Can't believe how time flies. I'm here working, and suddenly it's nighttime. I'm tired. I go to bed, and I didn't release my episode. So here we go. It's a weekend episode for you, and it's a good one. As you know, I just returned from a conference middle of last week, and I shared my process of conference selection with you yesterday, or now the day before. And now that I'm back, and it's only been a few days, I already find myself sucked up by my routines and my responsibilities. Partially, I have to tell you, it's relieving. It's good to be away from all the tempting restaurant food and the constant sitting all day. And no matter how much I prepare, and I prepare, when your schedule is not the same as always, your eating schedule gets thrown off. It's also good to be back in my own bed, where I sleep so much better. And it feels wonderful to be awaited by the people that are your friends and your family, even if they're just waiting for a reply on an email. And before I know it, my pre-conference life is taking over. And it's not a bad one, but it's something that many of us don't consider. With all the inspiration and new knowledge comes homework. It's great while we're there, but it's only effective when we're implementing what we've learned and we're making changes to our life. This requires some dedication, because I would guess that most of us don't easily have extra time sitting around waiting to be filled. Pre-conference or pre-workshop life was already busy, but there was also a reason why we went. The reason we coughed up all that money and sacrificed our vacation time. There was something we were seeking. And if we did our due diligence and selected a high caliber event, then we definitely walked away with some takeaways. So if we don't make an effort to utilize the information, then the investment was a waste. Procrastination works as a strategy. For a little bit, for a few days, the many notes I took stay close by my side. The book written by the conference hosts, halfway read, waiting to be finished. They travel to work with me. They sit on my desk at home at night. They make their way to my living room or balcony on weekends if I go there for a while. But I have yet to open them, because other, more pressing things are waiting to be addressed. They'll probably be shelved. Close by at first, maybe on the small shelf by my desk, but soon they'll be pushed in the background. And once they're out of sight, they're forgotten. At least, this is how it always happens when I completed trainings through my work. And many of them were very valuable classes. I learned a lot and always walked away with new ideas that I wanted to try out. But I hardly ever did. It was just work. The incentive wasn't that huge. Our routine, even if it's a really powerful and effective one, like mine is resistant to change. I don't want to demotivate you, but I would like to prepare you, because I'm in the exact same spot at this very moment. Still filled with post-conference excitement. A thank you email to the conference hosts, halfway typed up. A bunch of business cards stacked up of people that I connected with. Excited to get started on my new trajectory. But I'm swimming upstream. Extra busy at work because of the days I missed. Behind on my podcast episodes, which I didn't work on while away like I hoped. My gym workouts waiting to be resumed, and so much to do. But I have decided to follow my own advice. The advice I always give you, and that is to start small. I have tons of ideas of what I want to start, do, and change. But it's easy to get caught up in all the planning and never start anything at all. So I decided to begin with something simple. Something you also can do today, conference or not. And that will get us going. And that is the collection of ideas and contents. It doesn't really matter what it is that you want to do. For me, it's refining my speaking skills. I shared that with you yesterday. For you, it could be a new language you want to learn, a workout program you want to start, maybe a paint class or a computer course, yoga, meditation, or maybe you want to build your financial knowledge and begin investing. Whether you have been to a conference or taken a class, if you are interested in your goal, then you have most likely begun to inform yourself. You might be reading articles or books on the subject. You definitely have talked to others who already have the expertise you are trying to get. And you have most likely generated a few ideas on your own. So let me ask you, where is this information stored? If it's in your head, then I can tell you that it will have holes. You won't remember everything in detail when you need it. You'll forget about some of your ideas, and that will really hurt. And as you recall your friend's advice, you wish you could go back and ask some more follow-up questions. I have learned something very valuable during my conference, and that is that we need to become collectors of content. Short stories, interesting articles, jokes and fairy tales, videos and funny pictures. Years ago, it was a common practice to cut out newspaper clippings or rip entire pages out of magazines, even those that were not ours, like the ones in doctors' offices. But with the 24/7 availability of all data everywhere, we've become lazy. We can always Google it if we need it, right? Well, not so easy. I struggle remembering details and then waste valuable time trying to remember enough to launch a Google search that will actually produce results that are useful. With the abundance of information I consume on a daily basis, I noticed that when I want to share something with a friend that was memorable, I have a hard time remembering. Where did I hear this? Or where did I read this? Was it a podcast or a blog post? Or did someone actually tell me the story? Everything is blurred. And that is why we need to begin collecting the knowledge and information that we consume. So here are a few ideas of how you can go about this. You can keep a journal and write down your insights. This will work best for ideas and short quotes. I always carry a small notebook with me wherever I go. When I'm in a museum, for example, I often jot down a few things that have caught my attention that I want to research more later. Maybe a historical event or a painting that I want to know more about. When I'm in a car and I cannot write, I tend to send myself quick emails or text messages, but they often get lost in that big black inbox that is like a pile that keeps growing. In my journal, there is a section dedicated just to my podcast. It's titled, What's Next? And it contains all my ideas for future projects, big dreams, far down the road, and immediate things I want to do soon. You can call your journal your idea book. Thomas Edison kept a notebook titled Private Idea Book, in which he kept different ideas that popped into his head, such as artificial silk or ink for the blind. It's a good idea to collect these ideas and review them from time to time. And when the next long weekend rolls around, or you have some unexpected time available for yourself, instead of frantically trying to book yourself up, why not start working on one of those ideas? I'm much more likely to begin the work when the tasks stare at me. My plan is to start another section in my journal that is related to speaking. That is where I would log the ideas that will help me continue working on that skill. For electronic collections, such as pictures and links to blog posts and videos, an electronic repository is better suited than a hard copy journal. I use Evernote, and just the other day, I created a new folder for various categories of content I want to begin collecting. There are probably other apps out there, but my suggestion is to find something that you like and that is more advanced than just bookmarking the links in your browser. I never look at those unless I really need something. And if the lists get too long, it just gets too daunting to look through it. Sometimes I copy entire articles on climbing techniques, for example, into Evernote. if your dream is to write a book one day, this collection practice is very important. You don't want to spend valuable time researching the information that you already read, just so you can remember the details. Save links. Keep notes on what it was about that TED Talk that fascinated you. Record the time on the video or movie where the joke is being told, so you can go right to it when you need it, without watching the entire thing again. It's important to not just amass information, but also to organize it. The more generic the area of your interest, the more information you will find. If you're into baking, there are millions of tips and recipes out there. But if you narrow your search and, say, focus on gluten-free baking or sugar-free baking, you'll end up with more specific information that later will help you stand out as you write your cooking blog or you start your YouTube channel. Collect what you find helpful for your quest, what fascinates you, what is novel and interesting. Don't collect everything, but narrow your search. And this may come with time. Lastly, something I will begin to do regularly and that I highly recommend to you is the collection of personal stories. You may have heard my episodes on storytelling. Personal stories, I believe, are the most powerful stories because we are the hero that has overcome the obstacle. And sharing that with a wider audience helps them not only relate to us, but it also helps them see that they can overcome their own struggles as well. As you remember events from the past or even just an interesting encounter on your stop at the gas station the other day, write it down. We remember the grand events in our life, but we often forget the unplanned, but often powerful encounters that take place almost every day. They can serve as a great lesson that, when shared with others, can also help them. Even if you think you're just giving a business presentation or writing a financial blog, you can always weave personal stories into everything that you do. They make your material more personal and bring out more of you. And this helps people not just to relate to your information, but also to you. Collection sounds like a lot of work, I get it. But it really happens on the side. A quick note here, a copy and paste there. But most importantly, collecting information gets you into the right mindset. When you're in collecting mode, you're more focused on your goal. As you're scanning the information you consume for usefulness and applicability to your objective, you are at the same time thinking about your goal. It's more present in your brain. My conference notes, all the pages I wrote on techniques I learned, they may disappear underneath a pile of magazines on my coffee table in a couple of months. But if I carry on collecting stories and jokes and ideas, then I'm much more motivated to give a speech next time the opportunities arise, because I have all the information waiting and ready to be used. So my tip is, start with collecting information as your first step, especially if you don't know where else to start. But even if you have already started, we need to continue collecting. So keep doing it. Even if you become a successful author or blogger, we always need good stories available. And so much time can be saved when we just browse through them instead of start to search for them. I hope you found this helpful and practical, and maybe you can start today, jotting down just a quick memory from the past. Tim Ferriss calls them on his Instagram account, Blast from the Past. I love it. Start today. Much love.